My mother always wore this around her neck until one day it disappeared. I was wondering where it went. She said it was a birthday present from a good friend. I just had another glimpse of a memory, John. It's fuzzy, but I'm sure it happened somewhere in the manor.
Finally moving forward. Shall we go?
Mr. Holmes, I have something for you. Mr. Holmes, I see what you're up to. Mysterious stranger pursues betrothed woman. But please, let us keep things professional. I have in my possession an envelope containing details of a special assignment for you. Tell me, are you interested?
I believe I am, but to be very clear, Miss Sertle, my interest extends to the message and not the messenger.
So he claims he's not a gal sneaker, seducing women everywhere he goes. Perhaps the truth is even more scandalous?
Please spare me the speculation. Return to the matter at hand.
A gang of smugglers, the Eels, have Codona in their clammy grip. The British Empire can abide it no longer. Mycroft insists they be disbanded. But this organization only falls with the capture of their odious leader, Friedrich Panzer. And note well, I did say capture, not kill. Inside your envelope is a map marked with the Eels' warehouses. But alas, we do not know in which Friedrich Panzer resides.
So even Mycroft has his limits.
Indeed. You must be sure to identify the correct warehouse before entering. Because once one is compromised, the other's occupants will scatter. Here are all the files, and feel free to use the archive too. Again, do not enter the wrong location, nor see any harm done to Friedrich Panzer.
Miss Ertl, if you're quite done with the redundant instructions, I shall get to work.
Well, that's perfect. Tortured hero lashes out after rejected romance. Tomorrow's edition will be a sensation.
Selam, nasılsın? Ne haber?
Salty breeze, old ruins, dusty roads. Do you recall clambering over these walls as a child?
Perhaps. Did we find something at the top?
Ah, it was an old skull. What a lucky find for a pair of young adventurers.
It was easier to climb these walls back then. Not merely because we're older, but because the ruins are too. Of course. You said we needed to bury him. Do you remember where?
Oh, one would think burying a human skull would stick in the mind, but somehow... no.
An old man was standing here as we passed.
Oh yes, I remember his face as we flew by with a skull in our hands.
He looked as shocked as our grisly companion.
Nothing ever bothers an old Ottoman backgammon player.
This wasn't the right place for a funeral. We were looking for somewhere more appropriate.
Funny, nowadays you love putting men behind bars.
You're a fellow of infinite jest, aren't you? The water level was higher back then.
I remember swimming through this mire while trying not to breathe in the horrible odour.
This is where we buried it. It seems that with time, our friend has emerged once more. The skull is ancient. Its likeliest owner was one of the Knights Hospitaller who died during the siege of the fortress. I remember now, you said this skull was my father's.
A child's imagination is a powerful tool. You needed this. A burial process of your own. A ritual so you could begin to grieve.
Here hung those lips that I have kissed, I know not how oft. I felt so alone back then, John. Uncertain. Abandoned by my father.
I know.
The skull wasn't his, though it may as well have been. In the earth, all of us look alike. But putting this man to rest, it did help.
I'm glad, Sherry.
I find myself rather tempted to keep it. If not for sentimental value, then it's archaeological merit.
Sherry, I think we're getting the hang of this.
Extra, extra! Elephant adopted! Again! The killer elephant Goliath has been adopted by Fergus Tailheart and can breed on Cordona. Interested in some Cordona news? Check the front page. You won't regret it. All the newspapers. Papers are sold out.
A manor all to ourselves. Can you believe it, Sherry? You know, I envy you, Sherry. You can talk to other people and they won't ignore you.
And I envy you. You can ignore any person you're bored with. You don't miss out on much. Most men are dull, unlike yourself.
Well, I'm flattered.
Another one. There must be something important behind it. I can feel it. had a surprise for my mother. I was holding an ancient Greek vase, or rather, quite a big piece of it. You had a shovel with you, John. I remember now. We dug up the vase from Greek ruins here on Cordona and were eager to show my mother right away. For some reason, the door was closed. We knocked.
But nobody answered. We thought that she was busy.
So we left the vase and ran downstairs. I decided to gather some archaeological tools in order to take a closer look at the vase.
But then we heard something, didn't we?
Yes, it came from upstairs.
The vase was broken, shards scattered all over the floor. And your mother was standing at the door.
Indeed, John. I doubt it was her. Let me concentrate. Otto Richter was standing there, furious at us. Dr. Richter told us never to disturb my mother when the door is closed. He said she had broken the vase.
But we didn't believe him. I bet he smashed it. Her things are still here.
Presumably Mycroft never felt the need to sort through it all.
Or couldn't bring himself to.
No. He would have put it behind him and moved on. My brother is not one for sentimentality. It reminds me of my mother. Looks like it was damaged by a blunt object.
Look what I found. The White King is under attack. Sherry, can you save him and checkmate the opponent in one move? Oh, nice move. You saved the king and checkmated the Black King with the rook.
Straps on the bed. Just doesn't look right. Seems this was the most frequently used medication. 1 dram dissolved in a glass of water administered daily, not to exceed 1 dose in 24 hours, not to be given to children.
Oh, I would love to take a bath right now.
Not this one. Surface corrosion suggests it was prone to extreme temperature fluctuations. For medical purposes, I suppose. Straps on the bed. Just doesn't look right. It's a strange feeling to read about my father's death in the newspaper. I can't recall anything except the deep feeling of loss.
You were too young. It happened before we even met. It's so sad. I'm sorry.
My mother loved flowers. They made her smile. I remember we would bring a new bouquet every week to make her a bit happier.
That's why we collected all the violet flowers we could find on the island. Do you think the doctor could have used these tools here? I hope not.
No labels. I doubt it ever had one. There appear to be residues of the bottle's contents at the bottom. Oh, it brings back some memories. This seems a bit odd. I can recognize my mother's style, but it's far too sloppy. Dated 12th of February, 1869. It's difficult to tell what this is meant to represent. There's no date at all. This picture was drawn by my mother. I recognize her hand. There's a date on it, 8th of December, 1868. This room always reeked with an acrid medicinal stench. And here is the reason. The broken plate shards were all over the floor. Mycroft had to change his suit as the one he was wearing was completely stained. Mother was troubled that morning. Something we did upset her. Dr. Richter tried to calm her down. We had to put the tray with Mother's morning tea down, but why? It's starting to ring a bell. I think it happened in the morning.